It's been 1 year. After several events, many champions have been crowned. Tonight, 32 of MTA's best monster trucks and drivers lay it all on the line at the biggest show of the year. But only one can walk away as champion. Tonight, 32 of MTA's best trucks and drivers will make history. And now, MTA proudly presents MonsterMania 2! A year's worth of racing, a year's worth of hardships and glory. These 32 monster trucks are going to lay it all on the line right here tonight at MonsterMania 2. Hi everyone, I'm your MTA host here tonight, and we're going to get set to turn these trucks loose in just a few minutes. Qualifying proved that this track is fast, but it's going to be who goes across the finish line first to take home the championship. The track is ready, the trucks are ready. We are now kicking off round number 1 at MonsterMania. Jurassic Attack set to take on the Samson Chevrolet out of Patrick Enterprises, who moves on to round number 2 to kick off MonsterMania as we go green. Down the straight stretch, Jurassic has the lead on him, and Jurassic Attack moves on to round number 2. Up next here, the longtime veteran MEGHAN, JAGER, and Whiplash. She draws up against Mitch Brown in the power forward machine out of Atlanta, Georgia. He picked up his first win in the March season of Thunder. Stage now as we wait for green. Power forward and Whiplash are down the straight. They're up and over the cars, and Whiplash will move on to round number 2. Coming up next, Robert Turner in that 1941 Willys of Blacksmith. He draws up against the wild man Ryan Johnson and Taz, who hasn't had much luck, but always puts on a spectacular show. As we go green now, Taz pulls the lead on him up and over the cars, and Taz will outrun the Blacksmith machine. Next up, Chantel Bailey in the Scooby-Doo machine. She draws up against the brand new ride, Raising Cain, the outlaw, Joshua Wells behind the wheel. He would want nothing more than to put that brand new truck in the winner's circle. As we go green now, Scooby has a lead up and over. What a wheel stand, and Raising Cain passes her in the big end. He moves on to round 2. Next up, Johnny Retlaw, who took Blue Thunder to victory lane at the Revenge Show. He pilots the brand new Sudden Impact, but he draws up against Bradley Graham, the 5-time Thunder champion, in Max D. Stage now as we go green. Sudden Impact pulls the lead, but Pogo's the truck, and Max D takes advantage. He moves on to round number 2. We're going back to an MTA replay. Sudden Impact had him beat out, but right here in no man's land, you see him ride the truck on the tailgate. At that time, Max D drove on by. He'll claim victory here tonight. Now the MTA track crew is down there now to roll Sudden Impact back over. That brand new ride already tore up. That's the old El Toro Loco chassis, still showing some life, but Sudden Impact is on the trailer. Next up here in round 1 racing, Skylar Stevens brings the Black Stand Ford out of Hagerstown, Maryland. They draw up against Lee Bailey in the Barefoot Dodge out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois. Classic matchup here, folks. Dodge and Mopar set to take on Ford as we go green, and the Dodge boys are pulling a lead out, and the Barefoot moves on to round number 2 here at MonsterMania. Next up here in round 1, Chris Paluk and Stinger Unleashed, who is a 2-time Thursday Night Thunder champion, but he draws up against Flying Ryan Padgett in the American Guardian Chevrolet. Stage now as we wait for green. Down the straight, American Guardian with a lead. They're up and over the cars, and American Guardian moves on to round number 2. Stinger Unleashed is on the trailer. Next here in round number 1, the Gunslinger Ford out of Bushnell, Florida. He is set to take on Preston Jager in the Michigan Ice Monster Chevrolet. Both trucks are staged at the MonsterMania starting line. Who moves on to round number 2 as we wait for green? Down the straight stretch now, Ice Monster with a huge lead up and over the cars. And Michigan Ice Monster takes Gunslinger to Gapplebee's. He moves on. Now, Ashley AUBE in the Wildflower machine draws up against a seasoned veteran, James Vaillancourt in the UFO machine. The Redemption champion and Full Throttle champion, can he add one more title tonight? As we go green now, they're heading down the straight, they're dead even up and over the cars, and Wildflower, what a great race, puts UFO out on the trailer. Next up here in round 1, Jason Cook brings the Gravedigger to the track. He draws up against Ray ACUNA in the Iron Outlaw Ford out of Tonganoxie, Kansas. Gravedigger, Iron Outlaw now as we go green. Down the straight stretch, they're pretty even. They're up and over the cars, and Gravedigger will outrun Iron Outlaw. Digger moves on to round 2. Well, there's the man that took all the glory last month, Brandon Jager and Zombie, in that brand new ride, but he draws up against an old rival, Keith Cromwell and the Carolina Crusher out of Wadesboro, North Carolina. Both trucks stage as we go green. Crusher and Zombie down the straight, they're even up and over the cars, and the Zombie moves on to round number 2 here at MonsterMania. Up next, Gene Patterson brings back the snakebite, but a brand new ride. Looking good out here at MonsterMania. He draws up against the Bulldozer machine. They are staged now, waiting on the green light. Down the straight stretch now, Snakebite pulls the lead on him, up and over the cars, and what a race to the finish line. Gene Patterson and Snakebite move on. Next up, Matt Cheever and Gravedigger the Legend trashed that truck out in the Thunder Series in the March season, but he's looking for revenge here tonight. He draws up against Chad Legit in the Hot Wheels Ford. Stage now as we go green. Down the straight stretch now, both trucks are looking even, up and over the cars, and Chad Legit and Hot Wheels move on to round number 2. Up next, Bruce Briggs brings the Bigfoot Ford out of Pacific, Missouri to the starting line, but he draws up against Lewis Thompson and the Wolverine Chevrolet out of Big Lake, Minnesota. Ford, Chevrolet, as we go green, down the straight stretch now, both trucks are looking even, they're up and over the cars, and Wolverine passes Bigfoot in the shutdown area. He moves on. Next up here, Ben Wishart brings the Jersey Outlaw Ford to the starting line. He draws up against Dustin Jager and Predator. We haven't seen Predator out here in quite some time. Both trucks are staged now as we go green. Predator pulls the lead on him, up and over the cars, and Outlaw comes back on him. The Outlaw machine moves on to round number 2. Well, now as we get set to close out round 1 racing, Nathan Smith and the Devastator Chevrolet draws up against the 5-time Thursday Night Thunder champion, Rich Wagner and the Wildhair Chevrolet, who has dominated the March season of Thunder. 2 Chevrolets about to throw it down to close out round 1. Devastator with a lead, and Wildhair comes back on him in the shutdown area. We're going back to an MTA replay. Look at the lead Devastator had, but Rich Wagner puts down that Chevrolet horsepower. He moves on to round number 2. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are down to round number 2. 16 trucks remain in the MonsterMania event. Whiplash takes on Jurassic Attack. Raising Cane draws up Taz to kick off round number 2 matchups. Jamie Hurd and Jurassic Attack draws up against Meghan, Jager, and Whiplash. 2 teal trucks about to throw it down here to kick off round 2 matchups at MonsterMania 2. As we go green now, heading down the straight, they're pretty even up and over the cars, and what a race! I don't know who got the win. We're going down to a photo finish, and you see right there, Jurassic Attack moves on. Now Joshua Wells, the Outlaw, brings the brand new Raising Cane to the starting line, but he draws up against an old rival. The wild man Ryan Johnson would want nothing more than to win here tonight. Raising Cane and Taz as we go green. Heading down the straight stretch, they're dead even up and over the cars, and Taz just outruns the Raising Cane machine. Next up, Bradley Graham, the 5-time Thunder champion, hasn't gotten the big victory yet, but he's looking for it right here tonight at MonsterMania 2. He's got to go through Lee Bailey in the Dodge Barefoot. As we go green now, heading down the straight, Barefoot pulls a little bit of a lead, and Barefoot will outrun Max D. He moves on to round 3. Up next, Ryan Padgett and the American Guardian Chevrolet, but he draws up against another bow tie, Preston Jager in the Michigan Ice Monster Chevrolet. It's a battle of the bow tie here in round number 2 at MonsterMania as we go green. Down the straight stretch now, American Guardian with a lead, sick air by Ice Monster, but American Guardian moves on. Now, next up, the 1951 Chevy panel van, Jason Cook and Gravedigger. He draws up against Ashley AUBE in the Wildflower machine. Both trucks look bad fast in round 1. Stage now as we go green. Heading down the straight now, Gravedigger with a slight lead up and over the cars, and Jason Cook and Gravedigger move on to round number 3. Next up, Gene Patterson in the Snakebite Ford out of Pacific, Missouri in the Bigfoot camp. He draws up against the Live Wire champion, Brandon Jager and Zombie. Both concept trucks looking great in round number 1. They're staged at MonsterMania 2 starting line. As we go green, Snakebite and Zombie dead even up and over the cars. What a wheel stand by Zombie, and Gene Patterson and Snakebite move on to round number 3. Next up, Lewis Thompson in the Wolverine Chevrolet out of Big Lake, Minnesota. He draws up against an old rival here, Chad Legit in the Hot Wheels Ford, who moves on to round 3 racing. As we go green, Ford and Chevrolet down the straight up and over the cars. Hot Wheels turns it over, but he gets the victory in the process. Going down to an MTA replay, some sick air by Hot Wheels. Look at him rock up and roll that truck over on its roof and crosses the finish line. Chad Legit, what a wild piece of driving. Up next, Ben Wishart in the Jersey Outlaw. He draws up against 5-time Thunder champion Rich Wagner in the Wildhair Chevrolet. This one ought to be a barn burner at MonsterMania 2. Ford versus Chevrolet. Who moves on as we go green? Down the straight stretch now, they're up and over the cars, and Rich Wagner and the Wildhair Chevrolet move on to round number 3. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of a storyline coming out of the Wildhair pits. They busted a steering valve coming over that last set of cars, trying to run down the Jersey Outlaw. They did do that with success, but the Wildhair Chevrolet team is thrashing, trying to get that truck back and ready for round 3 racing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are now down to 8 trucks at MonsterMania 2. Up first in round 3 matchups, Jurassic Attack meets Taz. Both trucks have looked consistent all night long. Wildman Ryan Johnson would want nothing more than to win here tonight, but he's got to knock off a heavy hitter in Jurassic Attack. Stage as we go green. Both trucks are down the straight. They're dead even up and over the cars, and Taz turns it over in the shutdown area. It wasn't a hard roll, but you see they're dead even going over no man's land. Jurassic Attack gets out of shape right here, gets caught up on that bus ramp, and Taz rolls the truck over in the shutdown. The MTA track crew and officials are down there on the track. They're rolling Taz back over. The crew has to make sure that truck's at 100% to come back for semifinal matchups at the MonsterMania event. It looked like a slight and easy rollover, and oh my, some heavy damage done to Jurassic Attack as well. Taz moves on to semis. Next up, out of the Dodge camp, Lee Bailey brings the barefoot out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois. But he draws up a consistent truck that's been running all night. Flying Ryan Padgett in the American Guardian Chevrolet. Chevy versus Dodge as we go green. They're heading down the straight now. American Guardian with the lead, but Barefoot come back and takes the win over American Guardian. Next up, J.C. Cook in the Gravedigger draws up against the seasoned veteran Gene Patterson in the Snakebite Ford out of the Bigfoot camp. Ford versus Chevrolet at MonsterMania 2 as we go green. Down the straight stretch now, both trucks are looking even up and over the cars, and Patterson takes the win over the Gravedigger in Snakebite. Next up here in round 3, Chad Legit, who turned it over in round 2 matchups. He draws up against Rich Wagner, who busted the steering valve. They are back at 100%. Ford versus Chevrolet, Hot Wheels and Wildhair as we go green. Down the straight now, Wildhair with the lead up and over the cars, and Hot Wheels takes the win over the Wildhair. Well, before we kick off semifinals at MonsterMania 2, we're going down to the pits to the Jurassic Attack team. Yes, they were eliminated by Taz in that round 3 matchup, but they broke the left front knuckle off the truck. The crew's down there trying to get that thing back together and get it loaded up so they can go home. Nonetheless, Jurassic Attack laid it all out on the line here tonight. We are now down to 4 trucks. The semifinals here at MonsterMania 2. Taz meets Barefoot, Snakebite meets Hot Wheels, and up first, the wild man Ryan Johnson and Taz. He draws up against the Mopar Dodge Barefoot out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois. Which truck moves on to the finals at MonsterMania 2 as we go green? Heading down the straight, Barefoot with a slight lead up and over the cars, and Taz came back on him in the shutdown. Look at the photo finish. Taz moves on to the finals. Well now, who meets Taz in the finals? Will it be Gene Patterson in the Snakebite Ford out of Pacific, Missouri? Or will it be Chad Legit in the Hot Wheels Ford? Snakebite Hot Wheels as we get set for green. Down the straight stretch now, both trucks are looking dead even. Patterson's in trouble, and what a save! Gene Patterson moves on to the finals. Going back to the MTA replay, you see him right here on 2 wheels going across the finish line. Gets it under control. Snakebite will meet Taz in the finals. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is final time here at MonsterMania 2. We started off with 32 trucks. Now we're down to 2. The legendary Gene Patterson in the Snakebite Ford out of Pacific, Missouri. He draws up against the wild man Ryan Johnson and Taz as we get staged up now at the MonsterMania 2 starting line. A year's worth of racing culminates to this right here tonight. Who comes away MonsterMania champion? Taz, Snakebite. It's showtime. Down the straight stretch now, both trucks are looking even up and over the cars, and Taz takes the win over Snakebite. Patterson turns it over in the shutdown area. Going back to an MTA replay. Both trucks giving it all they got. Going through no man's land. And Taz crosses the finish line by a nose, taking out Gene Patterson. The Taz team struggled all year long, but they came together here tonight with their truck nice and tight. Congratulations to Ryan Johnson. You are the MonsterMania 2 champion.
Standing tall up in victory lane, I done brought the pain and now they screaming my name. Yeah, everybody saw me rock the place. Now there's flashbulbs are popping and mics in my face. Always giving the crowd what they need. Now they're wearing my shirts front row to nosebleed. Now the crowd forms is what it's all about. signing autographs until the lights out. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching MonsterMania 2. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to check out our other videos linked right here on our channel and catch up with all the great races. Until next time, be sure to crush that subscribe button, and I'll catch you down the road. See you next time.